Hello, hey, what is up everybody? It is 4 days until the league start, and there are a lot of leagues in the game. What is going to be the most profitable? What is going to be the most fun? What is going to be the best for you? There are always a lot of assumptions going into every single league, but this league specifically, because there's very, very few changes, although the Atlas passives, those new keystones may really mix things up. We can do our best to make our best guesses here for the strategies that we want to at least be thinking about going into 3.18. This video is going to be primarily for inspiration, get you to start thinking about things, talking about what we learned in 3.17, talking about considerations from solo self-found, but I think this is a really good time to just start getting those juices flowing. No long intro, no preamble, no nothing. Let's get straight to the meat of the matter. First off, I wanted to talk about Heist. Get the dock leave heisters, get them taken care of. Don't worry, Heist will be over in a second. You can dock arrive again. Heist is a very controversial thing. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's just there. Well, I don't think it's very controversial anymore. It just is. Heist is very, very profitable. It's incredibly profitable early on. You can do infinite heist. I linked Path of Math's guide right here. Also, this entire thing will be in a paste bin that I link below. Just click that link. All of this content will be there for you. Talking about Heist in general, however, it's just really good. It is really good currency, especially with possibly increased value of stacked decks because of the new Mage Blood card and all of that. Heist is even better. You can very easily pull like 30 to 60 stacked decks from a single blueprint. The replicas, we get the gems, we get just really good raw currency as well. There isn't much more to say about Heist. You either love it or hate it. The one thing that I think might be interesting with the new, don't do league mechanics stuff on the Atlas, right? We can turn off some league mechanics that we don't want to see. I think there may be more people turning that off than they probably should. What that means is the supply of rogue markers and contracts and blueprints will go down. The demand should be about the same or even higher, which means you're actually shooting yourself in the foot. Like, if you actually want to open up those smugglers' caches, pick things up and sell them in bulk on TFT, the Forbidden Trove, you will be making even more money this league than last league. In my opinion, it's really not that bad, but you do have to wait around for opening doors a little bit. Harvest is always, always, always really good. Early on, you can just throw random clusters. You can throw anything like boots early on, right? Just get that T1 movement speed with some good life. You can sell those boots for 50 chaos on the first couple days of a league. I recommend buying a Sacred Blossom, getting those 15 harvest crafts that you can store ASAP when it's like really, really cheap. And also, if you're an SSF, really good for crafting your own gear, of course. I do recommend looking up Spicy Sushi's guides. He is the master of harvest. He makes 100 billion mirrors every single league doing harvest strats. And if you want to get really, really advanced with that, he has some good advice for you. I think Betrayal is one of the most misunderstood mechanics in the game, and it's not the player's fault. It is a very complicated mechanic, and it can be very off-putting at the very least. Do recommend watching my Betrayal guide. It is very, very thorough. I even have a guide for fighting Katarina and all that. It's a full walkthrough. I used to struggle with Betrayal as well. It was one of those things where I was like, I just want to interrogate and level them up, but I don't know how to move them around and all that. I really buckled down and I studied it. And now when I see Betrayal, because I know exactly what to do from a glance, it's actually very rewarding and it feels good to interact with it. So strongly recommend learning Betrayal and getting into it. The first couple days of the league, selling veiled items or selling crafts on TFT, minus mana cost, trigger wands, stuff like that, you can sell it for like 20 to 50 chaos. Varici white sockets, Ashling slams are still like 50 to 100 chaos on league start. And it's just really, really good. Even passive currency, if you just interact with Betrayal when you see it, you get a nice boost of 50 to 100 chaos here and there. Absolutely worth interacting with when you do it. I do recommend monitoring the Scarab price. Scarabs actually are a Betrayal currency, but now they just drop everywhere. But still, you can get the best Scarabs the most easily, outside of doing like crazy deli maps. Lots of wing Scarabs and all of that from doing Betrayal. I would recommend monitoring the Scarab price. It's actually very, very easy to like chain run interventions. And definitely watch the guide if you want some advice on how to do that. You can chain run interventions very, very quickly. You can run a safe house just within a handful of maps. And if you're able to do that and just to get a lot of Scarabs, if there are some certain Scarabs that are worth a ton, strongly recommend that. Also, don't forget, there is a Scarab recipe. Sell 2 Scarabs of a type with a Horizon Orb, and you will get back a random Scarab that is not that type, right? So if you have something like a bunch of reliquary scarabs, throw them all in with horizon orbs and you can get blight scarabs, abyss scarabs, anything that might be worth a lot more. As with everything, hardcore players do be aware, the betrayal dudes can be kind of rippy, so as always, be careful with that. Oh yeah, Recombinator. I'm going to mention this right now, but this will apply to a lot of things that we're talking about. The Recombinator is the new thing that we're getting in Sentinel League, where you combine 2 different items, and it'll take a mod from each item, and then maybe it'll do some morphing there. Things like veiled mods. There are certain veiled mods that are drop only, like -10 mana cost or like 60% increased damage. There are certain mods that are drop only that usually people kind of ignore because they're really hard to craft around. But with the Recombinator, we'll be able to save some of those, and you can take one of these drop only mods and put it onto an item that might normally not be able to get it. This is going to apply for delve only mods, also incursion only mods. So I just wanted to get this in here so I didn't forget it. For any item that drops that has these unique things, also think about essence mods, anything that's like generally hard to get on other items. Now we are able to potentially, right, take those things and craft them onto better stuff. Even if you don't plan on crafting, I strongly recommend picking up these items, going for unveils that are really, really good, and then holding on to them. Inevitably, this is what happens every single league. A content creator between like 3 to 6 weeks into the league is going to make a video that says, oh, what's up, guys? I just broke apart the entire crafting economy. Blah, make 300 mirrors. And they're going to say, look out for the -10 mana cost thing. Look at this. And then all of your minus mana cost stuff that's sitting in your quad tab, immediately they're all worth an exalt, right? And like you're sitting there like, ooh, I just watched that Subtractem video. He told me to hold on to this stuff. And look at that. Someone just made some hype video about the Recombinator, and now I'm rich. Thanks, Subtractem. Subscribe below. So, just understanding the way that this stuff works and like the inevitable trends as content creators make super hype videos about stuff. Like we saw this with Omniscience, right? In 3.17. Omniscience was selling for like 2 chaos. And then it was, and then people made video guides and we saw how strong Omniscience was. And, within like 3 to 4 weeks, it was worth an exalt for just a decently rolled one. And the same thing, we saw that with essences. People thought the value of essences were down. Boom, Omniscience went meta. And now all of those like essences of sorrow and spite and all that, they were selling in bulk for a ton each, like 15 chaos each in bulk. So strongly recommend, look out for things that are unique drop only modifiers. And I bet you someone's going to find some Recombinator thing, and then you'll be able to sell them for really good currency. That's my Recombinator rant in the middle of Betrayal. As things get more expensive, you can sell these crafts on TFT, on the Forbidden Trove, and you can make really good currency just selling like Ashling Slams, Varici White Sockets, incredibly good passive currency. Definitely watch the guide if you find Betrayal a little scary. Delve, if you know what you're doing, you know how to target certain things. These drop-only mods, they can actually drop Fractured as well, which is extra interesting and will be extra good for the Recombinator. There's things like Curse on hit rings on non-influence bases. And now with the Recombinator, we can put them on other things, right? So there's this potential, I think, or like the minion items as well. If you know what you're looking for, I think that these things can be really, really good, even just in general, not using the Recombinator. But, it does require a decent amount of investment into Delve. Make sure that you know what you're doing and you enjoy the content. Usually, people just use it for safe XP at the end of a level, but it is actually bad for fossils. The best way to get fossils is things like Heist and Legion and Delirium, Simulacrum. But if you delve deeply and you get infinite Azurite, you're able to bulk buy resonators. And this league in 3.17, people were selling them like 1 socket resonators for over 2 chaos each in bulk. So this can be a really good way if you want to delve deep, if you love delving. It can be good currency, but it's not just like a passive, brainless thing that you just get free money. Expedition is S+++ tier. I think at this point, every content creator's made like 5 Expedition videos, like, oh, logbooks, blah, 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 blah. I do have a really good Expedition guide that is very, very thorough if you want to get into Expedition and truly understand it from a fundamental level and all of the mechanics. This is a full walkthrough. But in terms of making money, I mean, the money just kind of comes. Gwenin can give you Mage Bloods. Worst case, you can sell the Astragali in bulk for a ton of money. I usually sell them. She's never given me anything good. Tujin just gives you money, and Rog can be really good for crafting stuff. And perhaps, and he's incredible in SSF, but perhaps with the Recombinator stuff, Rog could ascend to being even better than he has been in the past. So Expedition is good. I think at this point, most people know that. For me, I actually find Blight less fun to do than Heist. Blight is really, really profitable. My friend last league, I think he made about 2 mirrors in the first 1 to 2 weeks of the league, just doing Blight. And you can do this, especially doing like Kirak reroll missions. And the big thing right here, Shadowshaping. I think I've seen some people saying Shadowshaping might not be good. I think Shadowshaping looks incredible. Not from a pure profit perspective, not from the triple Ps, but for balancing fun versus other strategies and specific strategies, right? So as you can see, there are these specific implicits that are Kirak specific drops, and Shadowshaping makes them more common. You can get a base plus 12% chance. There are 12 options here, plus 12% chance to get some of these drops. And these drops are absolutely incredibly good if you get the right one. And one of them is area contains an additional Blight encounter. Top oils will always sell really, really well, especially if you can get like a lot of golden oils and a lot of silver oils, especially early on in the league. Those are worth a ton relative to everything else in the economy. Blighted maps in bulk, you can sell them on TFT again very, very easily. Like I think I made a 15x blighted map bulk sale this league. Just passively picking them up, having the blighted nodes on your Atlas passives is really, really good currency. Strongly recommend even just doing the blight encounters and maps and picking up those blighted maps and selling them in bulk. At worst case, if you don't want to run the blighted encounters. Metamorph is very, very good early. Not specifically for the Catalyst, but the Catalyst can be a decent bonus currency there. Metamorphs just drop a lot of crap. A lot of crap. It can be annoying to fiddle around with the organs. You might have to buy specific organs from people or do like the 3-to-1 recipe to try to get the organs that you don't have. But if you go to Tane's laboratory, you put in really, really strong organs. Like I've had him drop me like 5 to 10 exalts worth of stuff, like very, very consistently. Now you have to enjoy, also hardcore players. Hardcore players beware, Rippy, as everything in this game. Hardcore players beware. Metamorph can be annoying, can be scary. Your build might not be good at killing them. Fun fact, Bane is very good at killing Metamorph because of Profane Bloom. And yeah, Pelstern's guide is really good. He has a few videos on how he makes 1 to 200 exalts within the first couple days of the league, mostly focusing on Metamorph. So this is one of those league mechanics that I think gets slept on a ton. Might not be the most fun for you to interact with. It can be a little annoying, but it can also be very, very profitable. Bestiary. This one's interesting. If you fully invest into it, especially if you multi-box, you can technically, I think, multi-box at least 2 accounts, as long as you're not automating it and you have 2 mice and you're actually controlling it, because all of the people in the party, if they're standing there, they'll get the capture, can be really good. We gotta talk reality, right? You're fighting people that might be not adhering to the 2-account rule, and they might be doing other things to make it even easier for them to interact with. One of the most annoying things about Bestiary is, buying all of those things from Einhart, all of the, the emblems, and then pulling the beasts out. We got to be truthful, right? There are people that make that, they have things that make that easier to do than is expected for normal human beings. You are competing against those people. Like you'll find people on the trade site that have 3,000 yellow beasts that they're selling in bulk, right? You can perhaps like exploit a weakness in the market, especially early on. But in general, I have found that it is not actually that worth it to do unless you're going really, really hard into it. Incursion is really, really good, as I said before, with the Recombinator stuff. Those Incursion drop only mods, right? The increased damage and critical strike chance against chilled enemies, all of those specific mods that are usually really hard to craft around. Well, now with the Recombinator, I bet you those will go even better. They're already worth a ton, especially early on. Now with the Recombinator, I think they'll be worth a lot more. Generally, Incursion is just kind of used for Delirium Juice. Later on, Double Corrupt Temples, Locus of Corruption Temples, will sell for 2 exalts each, and you can very easily farm 2 to 3 of those an hour. Later on, once they're worth more, baseline 4 to 6 exalts an hour, just selling Incursion Temples, doing nothing else. Really, really good profit later on, but early on, I would focus on Incursion drops and, maybe specific vials for going for, Transcendent Mind, Transcendent Flesh, stuff like that. Try to monitor those uniques. Breach, monitor the Breachstone prices, okay passive income, but as pure profit, it's just kind of bad right now, especially with the nerfed Breachstone. You know, the old Atlas passes that we had with Maven were really good, but the new ones are just not as strong anymore, and the desire for Breachstones is just not as high. Who knows, maybe 5 ways will fall out of favor with the arch nemesis, you know, kind of nerfing headhunter stuff, and maybe Chayula farming will be the new way to get 100 again, the new old way to get 100 again. Yeah, monitor the price of Breachstone prices. The number one use of Breach right now is just more monster quantity, you know, more deli juice. Synthesis kind of was bad in 317. You know, obviously if you get +1 power charge or frenzy charge ring, really, really good. But generally, like the drop rate of Bottled Faith is kind of bad right now. Cortexes were selling for almost nothing. Bottled Faiths were down to just a few exalts. Really trying to focus hard on synthesis. Hasn't been worth a lot. However, with the new Recombinator stuff, I'm always going to be going back to this, we might see synthesis bases, like just farming for more and more synthesis bases might be worth even more now. Why is that? Bad bases, right? If you got +1 arrow synthesis, right, on a bow, oh my God, that's so sick. That's worth a mirror. It's on one of those bow bases that people don't really care about, and it's just not going to be worth as much. Or like one of those really slow ones, like a 1.2 attack speed bow. It's like, yeah, maybe you could sell it for 10 to 20x, but you know, if that was on like a spine bow or something that is valued more, you know, that's like a mirror tier base, right? And now with the Recombinator, we may be able to recover that and take that synthesis base and put it onto, you know, a good bow base. So that's absolutely something that we want to look out for. Also, Uber Cortex, who knows, maybe a super Bottled Faith will drop. We don't know what the new drop is from Uber Cortex, so there might be something there. Definitely, you know, keep your eyes open there. Harbinger is just really good. Last league, I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, Harbinger feels bad. I'm not really getting good currency. I'm just unspecking my Harbinger. And I think people are just really bad at seeing incremental results. Even if you only take the Harbinger nodes on the Atlas passive, you don't even do Harbinger Scarabs or anything like that, you're going to average like 2 to 5 chaos per map passively. And especially Ancient Orbs. I was selling Ancient Orbs in bulk for about 15 to 20 chaos each this league. If that stays, you know, about steady, you're going to be getting more currency than you think you are. I did get 2 mirror shards to drop this league within like a day. I was actually really lucky. But yeah, I think Harbingers are just really, really good. I think they're no-brainers, at least for me, someone who likes to run a lot of maps. It is passive, minimum 2 to 5 chaos per map for free. It's just really good. I love Harbinger. I think it's a no-brainer, at least. You know, your mileage may vary. Legion, I think, is really good and undervalued, actually. A lot of people will just look at the price of emblems, and we did see Mariketh emblems. It was really, the economy on 5-way stuff in Legion was really weird this league. But yeah, emblems themselves were not selling that much, but people were charging like 6x for a carry on 5-ways. That was crazy. But yeah, traditionally, even when emblems are not going for a lot, Mariketh ones are still going for, you know, 30 up to 100 chaos each, right? And that's just really good passive currency. And the big thing there is lots of Legion mobs, really good quantity. And Legion just drops all sorts of league mechanic stuff. You get enchanted bases, you get offerings to the goddess, you get breach stones. It's like, it's crazy the amount of stuff, like tons of stack decks and div cards and whatever. Legion is just really, really good drops. But as with everything, rippy as hell, beware hardcore players. But I love Legion a lot. If you have a build that's fast and can pop the whole thing, I think, to me, it's one of the most no-brainer mechanics in the game for profit. Delirium in general, since it was added to the game, is one of the most profitable things in the game. You just have to have a build that can do it. Delirium is the hardest, like, aspirational stuff to do in the game, at least until we get this new Uber bosses. You know, with Wave 30 Simulacrum, 100% Delirious maps, some of the hardest content in the game, but also some of the most rewarding. Obviously, it would take me a while to go into all of the detail, all of Delirium farming strategies. It is some of the best stuff to do very, very early on. Go into every Delirious mirror that you see if your build can do it. You know, watch out, hardcore players, very rippy. Just if you get some of those early cluster jewels, throw them into some early harvest reforges, and you can walk out with a 2 to 10 exalts very, very quickly. You know, Wave 30 Simulacrum, even if you only go to Wave 20, it is, as long as you don't mind all of the gray and how long it takes, even per minute, Simulacrum is one of the most profitable things to do in the game. And this league, we saw Simulacrum selling for 50 to 60 chaos, which was just, if you like doing Simulacrums, that is just free real estate infinite money as long as you like doing it. Essences were interesting in 3.17. We saw them on the Atlas passives. I espouse this a lot myself personally, right? The combination of just going into strong boxes and as many essence nodes as we could, and essences were dropping like candy, right? There were so many that they were just, you know, the prices were dirt cheap. Like you were buying some of the best screaming and deafening essences for 1 chaos each in bulk, or sometimes even less. Everyone just like unspec their essence nodes. And this is one of those things where you just have to watch the market, watch the economy. Essences will just always be really, really good. Even if the price is down, that just means buy your essences, and then you can just wait for the price to go back up, sell them in bulk. As long as you're going to play, you know, 4 to 6 weeks into the league, the price inevitably will go up as people want to get into crafting. That is just the way it is, especially with Omniscience not being nerfed, still going to be, you know, meta at the top tier. Might be less accessible, but still meta at the top tier because it's so damn strong. Crafting with essences and people buying essences to craft at least a few weeks into the league will be worth a ton of currency, especially with the Recombinator, right? As I'm going to keep talking about the Recombinator. The price of things, like I think there might be these interesting combinations with the Recombinator where we can get multiple essence mods on a single item, right? If we take 2 essence mods and recombinate them, there's the potential for the ceiling of really good Omniscience items being even higher than it is right now. So, you know, definitely keep an eye out for stuff like that. Strong boxes ambush, just free real estate, free drops, good stuff. You have to always balance everything with the opportunity cost of other stuff that you get on the Atlas, but especially with those operative strong boxes, worst case, you're just getting a lot of free Scarabs to use yourself, and best case, Scarabs are worth a lot. It is worth selling. Shrines, good quantity, basically a baby headhunter, especially if you take all of the shrine nodes on the Atlas passives. I love it. I think shrines for me are a must-have. I will not be skipping them. It just makes mapping so fast. I've had bad luck with Ritual myself personally. Sometimes maybe you'll get something really good. You can get good uniques from Ritual and Blizzard Crowns and bases like that. I think basically Blizzard Crowns. I'm not really a Ritual fan. It can be worth doing if you go all the way into it, but generally I'm not really interested in it. Beyond just Delirium Juice, you can get more currency drops from Beyond. And oh, look at that handsome Templar with a couple kitty cats. What's up, dude? But yeah, Beyond is basically just used for pure Delirium Juice. Abyss, early on, jewels and belts can be good money. Really, really good jewels. You can go for those corrupted 6 modifier jewels. We saw a couple of those in 3.17 that are good, but they're actually really, really rare and really hard to, like, I did it for a couple days and I didn't get anything worth picking up. So, you know, your mileage may vary. In general, Abyss is good early, and then later on, it kind of just falls off, and I just turn off all the Abyss stuff off of my loot filter, honestly, and I just use it for map juice and really, really good XP as well. It's one of the best solo XP farming things with the Atlas passives that make it have more monsters and more XP. Rogue Exiles and Torment, I wrote no. Exiles are good for SSF, you know, early rares. They do drop a ton of rares, so that can be, especially in SSF, can be really, really good for you. Torment, Ghosts, more harder stuff and more drops, I guess. I think Torment, I don't know. I would have removed it from the game by now if I was GGG. Bossing in general, this is not a league mechanic, but this is just a strategy. Going into 3.17, everyone was talking about how good bossing was going to be. Searing, we saw the Forbidden Jewels, we saw Searing Exarch and Eater of Worlds, and the potential there, but due to the drop rates of certain things, just the way that it all shook out, bossing in general was just not really worth it. Even like Maven and Cirrus and all that, and farming Uber Elder could be profitable, but as a very focused strategy, like just a pure boss rushing strategy or anything like that, as far as I saw, it was not really worth it. All of the videos that I saw from other content creators that said, I did 100 of this boss or 200 of this boss, like besides one lucky drop, they were very, very often like not profitable. It was like pretty bad. We don't know what this is going to look like based on the drop rates, based on how hard it is to farm, based on how hard it is to buy the fragments from other people, you know, what the economy is. We just don't know. Until we know, you know, hold your horses. Do not go into next league assuming that bossing is going to be the best thing. People said that going into 3.17, and the best thing to do in 3.17 was just sell your boss fragments and continue to map and interact with the league mechanics. If a mechanic is more annoying to interact with versus the fun that it is to interact with versus the profitability, the Arch Nemesis UI, right, is so bad and so annoying that I stopped interacting with it after I got my 40 out of 40 challenges, because the UI and interacting with it versus the profitability, right? I would have gotten more currency just doing more, Triple Beyond Delirious maps and ignoring Arch Nemesis versus the fiddling with all this garbage and this like bad UI. Evaluating Sentinel, we have to see how profitable it is versus how rippy, how fun, and how annoying it is. Thanks everyone for watching. Let me know below if there's anything that I missed that, I would love to hear from you guys if there's some consideration there for solo self-founder hardcore specifically. I would love to learn from you guys stuff that I can talk about a little bit more to really focus on that. I know I'm a softcore trade person at heart, and that's my most experience that I talk about there. And I apologize for maybe being a little bit too biased there. I think it's important right now to start thinking about this stuff, really evaluating, especially versus 3.17 and our assumptions going into that and how they might have gotten twisted. And especially like, hey, let's step back and actually talk about the ebb and flow of the economy based on like fear, uncertainty, and doubt of people posting certain things on Reddit versus certain content creators maybe hyping up certain stuff a little bit more. Thing to look out for, right, is a content creator hyping up something and saying, this thing's really profitable. And then by the time that you are able to buy it, because everyone else is buying it, it's no longer profitable, right? And I think if we talk about that and start thinking about that stuff right now, you'll be able to be prepared and ahead of the curve, do that research, look at what people are doing, and you can reap those profits before, they make their video and they overhype their stuff. Whoops, I got to render this video out and prepare for the Q&A with Chris Wilson. Really excited to see what they ask him and what that's going to be about. So definitely join me at twitch.tv/subtractem very soon if you want to see that, if you're watching this video shortly after it's posted. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Goodbye.